His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa chaired the weekly cabinet meeting at Gdaybiya Palace. The cabinet commended the outcomes of the state visit by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, President of the Arab Summit to China, at the invitation of President Xi Jinping. The cabinet further commended the visit's outcomes, which has bolstered the comprehensive strategic partnership between Bahrain and China. The cabinet noted the significance of the official discussions held between His Majesty the King and President Xi Jinping in regards to Bahrain's declaration, which was issued during the 33rd regular session of the Council of the League of Arab States at the summit level, that covered regional and international issues. The cabinet further noted the importance of the signing of agreement and memoranda of understanding, which will further strengthen Bahrain-China relations. The cabinet noted the efforts made by His Majesty the King as President of the Arab Summit in conducting bilateral meetings with various country leaders to discuss the outcomes of the summit and its ambitious initiatives to enhance regional stability and prosperity. The cabinet also commended His Majesty the King's speech at the opening session of the 10th ministerial meeting of the China-Arab States Cooperation Forum. In his address, His Majesty called for coordinated efforts and mobilization of support for lasting peace. His Majesty the King also called for swift convening of an international peace conference to support the legitimate right of the Palestinian people, the establishment of their national state, the cessation of the devastating war on the Gaza Strip, and the facilitation of humanitarian aid delivery to civilians. The cabinet commended the outcomes of the meeting of the 54th session of the Council of Arab Ministers of Information hosted by Bahrain under the patronage of His Majesty the King. During the session, members unanimously approved the proposal by Bahrain regarding media mechanisms to be used to address initiatives presented by His Majesty the King during the Arab Summit. His Royal Highness directed relevant entities to support Bahraini citizens participating in the Hajj pilgrimage by providing them with the necessary services. He commended Saudi Arabia's commitment under the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and with the support of the Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, to ensure a seamless 2024 Hajj season. The cabinet extended its thanks to all educational and administrative staff for their ongoing efforts to support education in the kingdom and guarantee outstanding academic achievements for students this year. The cabinet then congratulated the newly appointed Crown Prince of Kuwait, His Highness Sheikh Sabah Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, wishing him success in his duties to serve Kuwait and its citizens under the leadership of the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness Sheikh Mish'al Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah. In recognition of World Environment Day, the cabinet stressed the importance of enhancing environmental security through innovative initiatives, plans and solutions to preserve the environment and sustain its resources. The cabinet also expressed appreciation for the initiative by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, regarding a ceasefire in Gaza. The cabinet called on all parties to respond seriously and positively to this initiative, viewing it as an opportunity to permanently end the war, release hostages and detainees, rebuild Gaza, and expand the unimpeded flow of humanitarian aid to civilians. The cabinet noted His Majesty the King's call to swiftly convene an international peace conference to support the legitimate right of the Palestinian people to establish their national state, which Bahrain has expressed its willingness to host, stemming from its belief in the importance of serving at the core issue of the region's development and stability. The cabinet then approved the following: a memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Financial and Economic Affairs and Fiscal Balance regarding the financial agreement of Iskan Bank; a memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs on the government's response to 2 laws and 3 proposals submitted by the Council of Representatives; A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs regarding 3 MOUs between the National Center for Financial Investigation at the Ministry of Interior in Bahrain and its counterparts in Nepal, Nigeria and Sri Lanka regarding cooperation in exchanging information related to money laundering, predicate crimes and terrorism financing. A memorandum submitted by the Ministerial Committee for Legal and Legislative Affairs on the agreement to host the 9th UNWTO World Forum on Gastronomy Tourism in 2024. And a memorandum submitted by the Ministry of Municipalities Affairs and Agriculture regarding the acquisition of several properties for public urban development. The Cabinet also reviewed a memorandum submitted by the Minister of Foreign Affairs regarding topics on the agenda of the 160th session of the Ministerial Council of the GCC. The Cabinet then took note of the following ministerial reports: the visit of His Majesty the King to China, the outcomes of the participation in the ministerial meeting on efforts to implement the two-state solution, the participation in the 91st General Session of the World Assembly of Delegates to the World Organization for Animal Health, the participation in the 27th meeting of the Municipal Affairs Ministers in the GCC, the participation in the 60th Regular Session of the Council of Arab Health Ministers and the 77th World Health Assembly, the participation in the GCC ASEAN Economic and Investment Conference, the outcomes of the 27th meeting of Information Ministers of the GCC, the 54th session of the Arab Information Ministers Council meeting and the 16th edition of the Gulf Radio and Television Festival, the official visit of the Minister of Industry and Commerce to China and Hong Kong, and the outcomes of the participation in the Arab Youth Media Forum.